Salute to Navy is presented by the National City Chamber of Commerce in cooperation with the Kiwanis Club of National City and the support of the City of National City, the Navy Federal Credit Union, the County of San Diego, and Freedom Furniture Electronics.
Today is an opportunity to say thank you to our Navy and to our beloved armed forces for helping us rebuild America.
We're very lucky to be joined today by 150 active duty sailors from the most distinguished ranks. Among us, we have an accomplished group representing all of San Diego's naval base commands. Please stand, sailors, and be recognized. Thank you. Well deserved. Now we're going to introduce the head table. Chaplain Bob Freiberg, San Diego Naval Base. Robert Duque Valderrama, National City Chamber of Commerce. June Sanchez, Navy Federal Credit Union. Jim Bettinger, our speaker today. Captain Winton Smith, Naval Base San Diego. Mayor Ron Morrison, City of National City. Supervisor Greg Cox, County of San Diego. Assembly Member Ben Wessel, State of California. Senator Juan Vargas, State of California. At this time, we are going to continue and we are going to introduce Ms. June Sanchez, representing Navy Federal Credit Union and a proud sponsor of this 55th annual Salute to the Navy. June, come on up.
We know that you make so many sacrifices, our military members and your families, and we just want you to know that we are so very proud of you, and we are very, very grateful. And we just want to say thank you so much for everything that you do for our families and our country. Thank you. And now I would like to share with you some information about our guest speaker, Mr. Jim Bettinger. Jim was born during World War II in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he enlisted from high school into the Naval Reserves in 1963 and then attended Union College in Schenectady, New York. He graduated and was commissioned an ensign in 1967 and was designated a Naval Flight Officer in May 1968. In November of 1969, Jim was stationed with the Puking Dogs of VF 143 when his F-4 went down over Laos, and he was captured by the North Vietnamese Communist forces. By December of 1969, Jim was in Hanoi, where he was held prisoner of war until his release in 1973 under Operation Homecoming, when he returned to San Diego and his wife, the former Laura L. Yepes. So ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Jim Bettinger.
What I wanted to share today was that some lessons are relearned by each and every generation. And we're celebrating the Navy today, and the over 225 years of sustained performance in defense of this country. And the Navy today is absolutely the same stuff of courage, honor, and commitment that those early sailing ships were. Back in that day, gentlemen were asked to strike their colors when their crew and ship were definitely dead. And we know what John Paul Jones said when he was asked to strike his colors. We have not yet begun to fight. And sure enough, as onlookers from the cliffs to the east were looking out, they watched the American Marines and sailors take by close order battle and fight and win to go from their sinking ship and to take the prize of the British warship, a bigger ship with more sailors, more guns, outpowered. The first time in 30 years the British Navy lost a battle at sea, and we're made of the same stuff today. And that's the kind of spirit of fighting that sustained many of us in Hanoi. I want to share one short story. It's about a lieutenant commander who never wore a hard shoe until he went to Navy boot camp. It was issued Boondocks. Mike was a tough nut. When he became a prisoner of war, he was not only creative, and what he didn't have in all the college education and some of the courses, he more than made up for in that same fighting spirit and guts and creativity. And what he did is he made red ink from an old crumbling brick. He took a broken ballpoint pen refill, put hot tea in it, and made blue ink. And he found some white old T-shirts, and he started fashioning himself some red stripes with white in between. And then in that left-hand corner, he started sewing the blue in to make the first American flag. They hid it in a teapot, and every morning they said the Pledge of Allegiance. And some nights he sung very quietly our national anthem. One day in a surprise inspection, they found that flag. Our communist captors were not very appreciative of such patriotic gestures and things. It was unauthorized. It was a breach of the, quote, camp rules. And so a little later on, with chains, with a gag, they came in, they chained him, they took him off, and then for the next 6 hours, they beat him. At about 7 o'clock at night, he was thrown back in his cell. Both his eyes were swollen shut. His lips were swollen, and in fact, his teeth were coming through the bottom of his one lip where he had been kicked. He was in bad shape. They cleaned him up the best they could. They put him into bed, and then they tried to settle down. About 3 o'clock in the morning, they looked over. Mike wasn't in his bed. Suddenly, they looked, where is he? There he was in the corner, eyes barely open through slits, hands trembling. He had a needle and thread. He was making the next American flag. And he looked up at his roommates and he said, "These colors don't run." That's the kind of courage individually and faith in our country that made our prisoners of war survive in Hanoi. That genuine American fighting spirit exists in this room today. For those of you who wear the cloth of this nation, thank you for your service in time of war. Thank you for the sacrifices you make. And I wanted to share with you today what I said back in 1973, 39 years ago. It went something like this. As a small boy growing up north of Philadelphia, I had many trips to Independence Hall. And back then, the Liberty Bell sat right in the main foyer. You could actually reach out and touch it. And I often wondered, between 8 and 10 years old, did that bell really ring? It's an awful large crack even today. Well, I know it not only rang back in 1776, but it still rings life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And not just for us here at home, but for freedom-loving people the world over. God bless you for making that happen. And God bless America.
National City Chamber of Commerce recognizes Honorary Speaker Jim Bettinger at the 55th Annual Salute to Navy Luncheon. Thank you so much, sir, for your services.
Thank you.
We are also proud to honor an outstanding sailor deserving of recognition today. And to present, may I call on Captain Winton Smith, Commanding Officer of Naval Base San Diego.
I'd like to start by thanking all of you, and especially the leaders of National City, for what you do to support the base and the sailors who serve, and for coordinating this fantastic event. We do what we do for you, so that you will never have to know war, so that you can sleep peacefully at night. That, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty powerful. That, ladies and gentlemen, that is your generation that is serving in the cloth of our country. And it's the same group, from capturing pirate vessels and taking down terrorist camps, on their free time when they are back here in San Diego. It's these same sailors that are engaged in your community. They are tutoring children, cleaning the streets of local neighborhoods, and coaching Little League teams. We are your neighbors, bound by geography and forged in friendship. So now I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce one of these stellar sailors I was just talking about. Our Sailor of the Year, Petty Officer Troy Bacon.
It's an honor and a privilege to be the Sailor of the Year and to be an ambassador for Navy Base San Diego and the city of National City. I sit in the same seat that I see the faces looking at me last year. And I said, I want to be that guy. I just like to thank you and say, I mean, you don't know how much it's an honor and a privilege to be here and to give back. Everybody that says it's an honor and a privilege to serve and for the sailors to do what you do, you don't know how much it means to the sailors that come back from deployments and integrate back into the cities. I mean, it's really a warm gesture, and I thank you. And that's all I have.
To close out our program, I just want to say a few more thank yous that weren't specifically addressed. And that's to every single civilian that paid for their admission to come to this luncheon. As you know, your contribution actually helped sponsor a sailor and made it possible for us to invite 150 of our different commands throughout San Diego to attend this event. So thank you on your behalf for making that possible.